Good morning, everyone. This is the Francesco Abbruzzino Rogue Rant, and we are live and unedited, folks. Basically, I type out my Rogue Rant at night, and then I come on and I state it out, adding some to it as I do it live. Whatever's spit out there, we can't change it, so let's go with it. This next subject is the Iraq Quagmire. And this is very near and dear to me because I am a veteran of the Persian War. And as a vet, I'm really concerned with what happened in the past and what possibly could happen in the future and how this is viewed. So let's go ahead and get started with my rogue rant on the Quagmire over there. And basically, folks, what is happening now in Iraq is a dramatic, significant, and yes, quite possibly historic. But to some, it's not surprising at all. For a while, Iraq had faded from the collective consciousness of Americans. But what's happening there should make people sit up and take notice, folks. They should be up, wondering what's going on. Extremist militants have overrun Mosul, taking with them 429 million. That's 429 million. One more time, $429 million, basically, from the banks. And most of the military equipment which was left behind to help the Iraqis with their defense. 40,000 Iraqi police and soldiers ran from their post rather than put up a fight against 8,000 extremists, abandoning their weapons as they went. These are 40,000 Iraqi police and soldiers that were trained by Americans. Keep in mind that their government spent in excess, our government, $14 billion to train and equip the Iraqi security forces. I don't know about you, but this only brings anguish and despair to me as a taxpayer and as a vet the situation. What this does is it makes Obama's rush to eliminate U.S. military presence in Iraq look even more questionable. Granted, all of us were tired of our involvement in Iraq, particularly with the citizens showing little appreciation for the sacrifices the Americans had made on behalf of their country. Now, why is this significant? It shows us that the extremists are seeking to extend their influence and can strike swiftly and effectively against Iraq Americans trained security forces whenever they want. We should be worried. This, after all, is a group that was rejected by Al-Qaeda because of their ferocity. Many reporting on Syria often refer to ISIS as the most radical of the myriad of jihadist factions operating there, folks. The group is in Iraq and has exactly the same inclination as those in the Syria that has been reportedly called out for their unparalleled barbarity on and off the battlefield. Just ask the Iraqis now that are seeing beheadings left and right. On the international level, any gains for ISIS are particularly troubling because it is by far the most popular group for foreign fighters to join. This is because their membership requirements are minimal, and most citizens from across the world that have fought in Syria usually end up fighting alongside ISIS. ISIS' new dominance in the northwestern Iraq will be the principal destabilizer in the region, folks. If left alone, Iraq will become a jihadist playground for the foreigners sympathetic to the ISIS ideology. Aside from the robust military response, Iraq's president needs to challenge the jihadists ideologically. He needs to reach out to this disenfranchised Sunni population that he has there, since this is the well from which most ISIS fighters are drawn. Taking a purely heavy-handed approach will just feed into the jihadist propaganda. Nonetheless, this disaster demonstrates the ineptness of the Iraq's prime minister, the folly of President Obama's hands-off attitude, and the fallacy of the idea that Iraq could be transformed into a democracy. How do you think Obama is feeling now after stating to the U.S. troops prior to leaving Iraq, the handing over of responsibility to the Iraqis? We preserved the gains of the last 4 years, and we made this day possible. He further stated, in an area that was once the heart of insurgency, a combination of fighting, training, and politics and partnership brought the promise of peace. Obama probably would like to take all that back, all those optimistic statements, because the promise he cited has yet to be fulfilled, and the Iraq government is largely to blame. It simply excluded the Sunni rebels from meaningful participation in the government and did far too little to protect their rights. Irresponsive of any regrets eliminating the White House or Capitol Hill, the dangerous truth is that the fall of Mosul signals a serious escalation of threat represented by well-armed, well-organized Islamist extremists who are determined to impose their brand of religion throughout the region, and who, no doubt, have hopes of launching terrorist attacks elsewhere, including here in the homeland, folks, here in the States. As they survey the swath of territory and material coming under ISIS control, Western policymakers should be profoundly alarmed. ISIS is for now focused on passing home its gains in Iraq and establishing the dream of caliphate. But the risk that it may eventually use this power base to pursue global jihad cannot be dismissed, folks. It cannot be dismissed at all. A decade after a disastrous U.S.-led invasion, our options in Iraq are severely limited. Our options. Washington may be able to help Iraq at the margins with timely provisions of material, but only the Iraqis can prevent their state from sliding into an abject failure. Like I indicated earlier, Iraq would be better served by a national unity government regrouping Shia, Sunni, and Kurds. This is the only way to face down the zombie ideology of jihadism, which the Iraqis have resurrected as a result of their government's crass errors. This has been Francesco Abbruzzino with another Rogue Rant.